Students, I am Sampada Sawant, Assistant Professor of Philosophy. In this video, we shall cover Unit 2 of the paper Moral Philosophy 1. Unit 2 is based on moral concepts in Indian philosophy. In this video, we shall cover a topic which is a teaching of Bhagavad Gita, which is called Philosophy of Non-Attachment or Nishkama Karma. So let's begin. Before we begin about Nishkama Karma, let's discuss a little about Bhagavad Gita. What is Bhagavad Gita? The Bhagavad Gita, or also called as the Song of God, is a 700 verse Hindu scripture. The Bhagavad Gita is the most popular and the most influential religious book of the Hindus. It is a part of the epic Mahabharata. It is a narrative framework of a dialogue between the Pandava prince Arjuna and his guide and charioteer Krishna. So, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna becomes very nervous when he sees his own relatives in the rank of the enemy. He did not know what to do, whether to fight and kill them all or to leave the battlefield. So, Lord Krishna persuaded Arjuna to perform his duty, that is, to fight. This Krishna Arjun dialogue is called Bhagavad Gita, which covers a broad range of spiritual topics touching upon ethical dilemmas and philosophical issues that go far beyond the war Arjuna faces. It talks about liberation, realization of God, which is possible only through self realization. It shows about the importance of disinterested work, stable mindedness. What these concepts are, we will study ahead. Now, the main teachings of Bhagavad Gita include liberation. Liberation or moksha, which Bhagavad Gita considers as the end of life. End meaning goal of life. Okay. Now, soul becomes free from the cycle of birth and death. When you acquire moksha, when you get moksha, the soul, the Atma, becomes free from the cycle of birth and death. It merges with the universal spirit. So our individual soul, which is the Jivatma, merges, mixes with the Supreme Soul, Paramatma. The realization of God is possible only through this self realization. So once you realize that you are the soul and not the body, you attain God, you realize the importance of God, you realize the place of God. The self is revealed through disinterested performance of duties and selfless service to the mankind. In order to get this liberation, in order to achieve moksha, the Gita prescribes three paths for the liberation. The first is the path of knowledge, that is called Jnana Marga. The second is the path of devotion called Bhakti Marga. And the third is the path of action called Karma Marga. In the path of knowledge, Jnana Marga, Bhagavad Gita says that our soul, the Jivatma soul, and the Supreme Self, that is a Paramatma, are one and the same. So I am a part of Paramatma. This is the jnana, this is the kind of knowledge that Bhagavad Gita is trying to teach. The second is the Bhakti Marga. For some people, to understand the unity between Jivatma and Paramatma is not possible. So for such people who do not understand abstract concept, Bhagavad Gita prescribes Bhakti Marga. So a bhakta surrenders completely to his choice of worship, to his choice of idol. He worships the idol and surrenders himself completely to that idol. This is the Bhakti Marga. Once you surrender yourself completely to your idol, you can achieve liberation. And the last, which is the most important teaching of Bhagavad Gita, is the path of action, the Karma Marga. So, what kind of karma Bhagavad Gita is preaching? First is the performance of prescribed duties. Prescribed duties means the recommended duties. Bhagavad Gita suggests that every human being should perform the recommended duties only. And secondly, performance of duties without any desire for reward. So, first, it tells us what we should do, and second, it tells us how we should do it. The path of action. So, what kind of prescribed duties is Bhagavad Gita suggesting? First is the Swadharma. Swadharma is Swa, is self, and Dharma is duty. So, duties which are your own and not anybody else's duty. The first duty that Bhagavad Gita suggests is the duties according to one's own nature. Okay, so it is called Varna Dharma. We all belong to certain classes in the society. These classes are based upon our aptitude, our skills, our talents. So the one who is interested in learning becomes a Brahmin, so belongs to a Brahmin class. The one who is not interested in learning but is interested in protecting the country becomes a part of the Kshatriya class. So there are four Varnas: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. The next duties are dependent upon one's life stages. Life stages, as in, we all belong to certain stages in our life. Okay. So, right now, you are all in student stage. After some time, from the age of 26 to 50, which is recommended by the Vedas too, is a stage of the householder. Okay. So, once you get married, your job is to raise a family, to protect your family, to do something for the society. So, there are four ashramas: the Brahmacharya ashram, the Grihastha ashram, the Vanaprastha ashram, and the Sannyas ashram. So, Bhagavad Gita says you have to perform duties based upon your aptitude and upon your stages in life. You have to follow only your duties. You should not interfere in anybody else's duty. The second kind of karma that Bhagavad Gita prescribes is lokasangra. So while you are living a student's life and when you are studying for yourself, your job is to also see that your study, your education is of the benefit of the society. So lokasangra means loka is people, sangra is protection. So while doing your duties, you have to also make sure that whatever you do, whatever job you choose, whatever profession you choose, whatever career path you choose, that will in return be of benefit to the society. In the previous slide here, we studied what kind of actions Bhagavad Gita is prescribing. Here, we will see how we should do those actions. You have to understand, first of all, that whatever action you choose to do in life, that action is always accompanied by certain fruits, by certain results. Okay. So man always hopes for the reward of his action. So what will he get by doing that particular action? That is what man is always interested in. So it has two aspects. First is the feeling of an agent, and second is the interest in the fruits of the action. So feelings of the agent means, let's say there is an old man, maybe also a blind person trying to cross the road. You feel bad for the person, you feel sorry for the person, and that is why you run to help the person. That is your feeling which drove you towards that blind person. The second is the interest in the fruits of the action. What does it mean? We all, whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, all believe somewhere that if you do good to someone, then something good too will happen to you in future. You always think in this term, okay, that if you do good, then good will happen to you. That is called the interest in the fruits of the action. Bhagavad Gita says that every time you take such actions, it will have a reaction, and the reaction is of two kinds. First is your feeling, and the second is the interest in the fruits of the action. Now, what Bhagavad Gita is telling you is you should practice Nishkama Karma. Nish is no, negation. Kama is desire. You have to negate, you have to remove the desire for the fruits of the action. Okay, so Nishkama Karma is to remove the desire for the fruits of the action. How will you do that? You have to remember that, as we discussed in the previous slide, your duty should be only of concern to your stage and to your class, that is Varna Dharma and Ashrama Dharma. You should always work for the welfare of the society. And while doing so, you have to remember that you do not have to think about what you will get by doing that action. You don't have to worry if something good will really happen to me or not, or something bad will happen to me if I help this so and so person. That is not your interest. That should not be your interest. You should do your duties without any selfish motive. So, what does this mean? Here, Bhagavad Gita is saying you don't have to renounce the action. So, in the second last point, it is not for renunciation of action, but for renunciation in action. What does that mean? Bhagavad Gita is not telling you that you give up doing actions or you don't do any actions henceforth because it has reactions. What Bhagavad Gita is telling you is you have to perform your duty at any cost, but you have to renounce the interest in the fruit of the action. You have to not worry about what results I will get from that action. So Bhagavad Gita considers it as wrong to pursue your pleasures, and it also focuses upon suppression of your desires, on shutting down your desires, on removing your desires for the fruit of the action.